I've got an interesting one for you guys. Top 5 OU quarterbacks of all time. Since we're talking about Baker Mayfield, this is just I was thinking about this the other night while I was laying in bed, and this is a hard conversation
It
because
is.
there's been a lot of them. But I think
I'm gonna go modern. Make it modern.
Do you have to go like number in order, or you just?
No, yeah, I want them in order. I want them in order, and I can give you mine because I've actually put a lot of thought into this. And I would go Sam Bradford number 1, just because even out of the more modern quarterbacks that we've had, I think if Sam Bradford wouldn't have gotten hurt. I mean, look at what this man did in the time that he did play here. Like Sam Bradford could be one of the great. I mean, if not the greatest college football quarterback of all time. Like he was that good, and he could have been that good in the NFL. And then additionally for number 2, I mean, I would put Baker Mayfield. He did everything for Oklahoma. He, I think, transcended that quarterback position for Oklahoma and what we expect from there. And then I would put Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts as your backups. But then at number 5, I've got Landry Jones, because Landry Jones was just, I know nobody likes Landry Jones, just like you don't like Baker Mayfield, but I love Landry, and I thought he was a really good, serviceable quarterback for OU. And, maybe if you had just had a better offensive scheme around him, you potentially could have had something a little bit better. But that's who I got as my top 5 OU quarterbacks of all time. And I mean, I really don't know
it's not a bad list. It's not a bad list.
I have Jason White and Heupel right on the edge of making number 5.
You first of all, I got to put Josh Heupel in it because he won a national championship. Like, he, out of all those quarterbacks you're talking about, he kind of set the tone for this modern, type of offense. So I put him at 5. Put Josh Heupel at 5. Okay, believe it or not, I would probably, if we're just going modern, probably put Landry Jones at 4, just because of the records and everything that he did, and the way he was able to manage everything like that. So probably 4. I would put Baker at 3, just because of, again, his career, what he's done, stuff like that. Actually, I'd probably have a tie at 5. Kyler, 1 year, yes, he won the Heisman, everything like that. So I'd probably him and Heupel at 5, just because of, right there. But number 2, I would have Sam Bradford, and number 1, the best deep ball thrower of all time, Jason White. So I got Jason White at number 1.
Now, I could change it for you, though, and make it easier. I could say the quarterback has to play more than 1 year at the University of Oklahoma, because Kyler Murray,
that's the only reason
and
I don't
Jalen Hurts
in that top 5, because
Kyler played 2 years.
Yeah,
he just didn't start for 2 years.
Okay, yeah, they had to be more than a 1 year starter. And if that's the case, right, because obviously Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray were great quarterbacks, especially go look at what they did and just how efficient they were.
But if you're talking the whole encompassing, that's just kind of quick, off the dome. If I really had time to break it down and do
then
it,
at that point,
about that 5. So,
yeah, at that point, I would put, if you had to take the 1 year starters out, I would put Bradford, Baker, Landry, White, and actually, I might go Holloway.
Yeah, if you're talking wishbone quarterbacks, Jamel Holloway is the best wishbone quarterback in the history of college football.
Yep.
But if you're talking modern,
I'm going 99. I'm going Bob Stoops Ford. Personally,
or if you're talking about guys that purely won, Steve Davis lost 2 games his whole career at OU, won 2 national championships.
Yeah,
so,
that's a tough one.
Yeah, but if you're talking just modern, what people would mostly remember, yeah,
and that's
Jamel
why
Holloway's up there. J.C. Watts was a heck of a quarterback. I mean, we've had, so many, Jack Mildren back in the day, who started the wishbone for us, stuff like that. I mean, you got, you could put Troy Aikman in. No.
That's why I don't think you can really use the national championship. I mean, that can't be your sole factor of putting somebody in there.
Yeah, but he set the tone for years to come. And Josh, for 2 years, I mean, was that?
I don't know.
I put him.
Personally, I don't think it was Josh. I think it was the defense. That's just
sure,
me.
But
20 touchdowns, 15 interceptions.
You got to score points.
That was his Heisman Trophy season.
He won the Heisman.
Nah, he not do winking.
Jay, we haven't heard from you yet. Give us yours.
Yeah, man, I was being quiet. Let y'all go back and forth on it. So me, if I'm gonna go 99 forward, the Bob Stoops era, I agree. I would put Jason White at 5. He was surgical with his passing ability. He was very surgical. It's just his knees needed a lot of surgery too, and that kind of hurt his ability to be even better than what he was. But he did win a Heisman. Number 4, I would go Jalen Hurts. Just the 1 year of coming here and having the actual opportunity to throw the ball, whereas at Alabama, when he got there, they weren't really a throwing team yet. Absurd. And as you can see what he's doing in NFL, they should have let him throw years ago. He should have been the one that ushered in the throwing era instead of Tua, but I digress. Number 3, I'm going to give it to Kyler Murray, just because he is hands down the greatest athlete. Statistically, he's absurd. His ability was absurd. And he did great here. We just didn't have a defense. Number 2, I would definitely give it to Baker. And then Sam Bradford was my number 1. And the only reason why I don't have Heupel in there before is Heupel did a great job of maintaining things and doing it and leading the way. That defense was absurd. That 20 touchdown, 15 interception ratio was just a little too high for me to want to put him in the top 5, but I do have him at number 6. Now, Landry Jones, I thought Landry Jones was solid, but Landry Jones was a product of Josh Heupel's recruiting
tempo, yeah.
And he wasn't a world beater like everybody else we had. Heupel was enough of a world beater. He could make things happen. Same thing with Jason White. Hell, Rent Bomar. Y'all remember him?
Oh, that man should have been way more than what he was.
He's one of the highest rated players we'd ever recruited too. That makes even
number 5 or 6. Yeah.
Gross, Rhett Bomar. But no, going through all of them, I put Heupel at 6 right behind White, but him and White were absurd. Just the sheer numbers that the other guys ever put up.
Y'all just the disrespect for Jason White is unbelievable between y'all two. How could you have that man at 5? The best deep ball thrower ever in the history.
I like Sam. I like Baker. Baker's the most accurate quarterback we've ever had. Kyler is the best runner. Jalen was a dual threat. The unfortunate thing is he did a lot more running than he should have.
I don't know. So I would put Jamel Holloway and J.C. Watts up there too.
Did they really throw the ball back then?
That's what I'm saying. Runner. You said runner.
Okay, so
I said
Jay,
dual
give
threat.
us your best non-1-year quarterback, because I actually got to thinking about it, and there's a lot of 1-year quarterbacks at Oklahoma. So
Kyler Murray, hands down.
Yeah. So give us your best non-1-year starter quarterback top 5 list.
One that's so I've got to eliminate Hurts. So they got to start more than one season. So Hurts and Kyler are out.
Hurts, Kyler, Troy Aikman's out too, I think, at that point, right?
Yep, Aikman's out.
Yep.
So number 1 remains Sam Bradford. Number 2 would be Baker still. I'd move White to 3, Heupel to 4. And I'm trying to think who else has actually started more than one season. It would probably have to be either Nate Hibble or Landry Jones. I'll probably put Landry there.
That is a very underrated quarterback right there.
Yeah, Nate Hibble was terrible.
He's very underrated. The dude won a Rose Bowl. Give him
okay, what about Cody Thomas?
I did too.
Y'all gonna forget about Cody Thomas or Dean Blevins?
Or Sugar Bowl.
What about Dean Blevins? Y'all gonna forget about him? J.C. Watts?
Dean Blevins was a backup, so.
What about J.C. Watts?
J.C. was up. I already mentioned J.C. The congressman, man.
I'm post 99 on mine.
Yeah.
Post 99.
That's what I'm saying. If you're talking about other quarterbacks, I can get my.
If we're going further back, then yeah, the conversation gets way more convoluted. There's a lot more factors to put in there.
Oh yeah.
Like Holloway is it. I mean, he's the best wishbone quarterback.
He won a national championship as a true freshman. Like they had a good defense too, but I mean that offense was that wishbone offense, and you had guys like, unbelievable, talent on, running that, and it was just he was the perfect guy to run the wishbone.
Now, where does Spencer Rattler rank in the top 10 for you guys? Does he rank in the top 10 at all of OU quarterbacks?
He's right there on the cut line.
What about Caleb Williams?
1 year starters? Yeah, he's up there. He's right there on the cut line.
Now, if Caleb Williams would have taken OU to win a national championship next year, or last year,
Oh,
Where would you put him? Top 5 at that point?
Nah, I wouldn't put him top 5.
Even if he won a national championship last year.
National championships are team awards. And
yeah,
I've
but
always,
Caleb was a single-handed win last year. I mean, if it wasn't for Caleb Williams,
well, I mean, he was this year for USC too.
Yeah. He was there for USC too, but that comes limited. That's the reason why it's very hard to do that. Now, I mean, he's not Cam Newton. Let's put it like that.
Yet.
He won't be.
He's not going to be Cam.
He's not Cam. Cam is was a one man wrecking crew for the whole team. Caleb has NFL talent around him. Cam had one NFL player on the defensive side. And that tells you everything you need to know about the way that he performed in that season. It was absurd how good he was.
Yeah.
It was a video game. It was a video game. It's like you would do on NCAA. You have your quarterback just do everything.
Hey, here's a trivia question for y'all. Which OU quarterback has the most wins in school history?
Landry Jones.
Yep. 39.
Landry Jones holds almost all the records.
Yep.
Yeah, that was an indictment on the recruiting ability of the coaching staff at that time.
Well, that you had sure-handed Ryan Broyles to caught everything.
Nope, 100% right.
Him and Kenny Stills, that 1-2 punch right there was pretty darn good.
So what's harder? What's a harder conversation? Greatest OU quarterbacks or greatest OU wide receivers?
Hardest? You talking about like
the hardest list to compile?
Choosing?
Yeah, hardest list to compile. Because OU's had some pretty damn good wide receivers.
Running backs and wide receivers will be a lot harder than quarterbacks.
Yeah, wide receivers are a lot harder to compile.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think the running backs are that hard. I think the running backs
are not hard. No.
Yeah, I think the running backs.
So many, but receiver, you'd almost have to do it modern era because we didn't throw the ball until the 90s. So
that's why I say it's hard with running backs too, is because back then with all the running that they was doing, you had a lot of guys that in the modern era putting up numbers kind of like the guys back in the wishbone era.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, who doesn't put Adrian Peterson up there at the top?
Yeah, Adrian Peterson is number 1. I think you look at it and go Billy Sims number 2. I really like Billy Sims. At number 3, I'd put DeMarco Murray. Number 4, I go P. Ryan. I got number 4, I go P. Ryan. And then at number 5, I go Joe Washington. I think I think the running backs are pretty simple.
I mean, Steve Owens is still on this list to talk about. Quentin Griffin.
Yeah, Quentin Griffin was pretty good.
Hell, even Damon Parker, Tulsa boy. Go Booker T.
I really like Joe Washington and I really like Billy Sims. I think it's hard to leave those guys out.
I mean, you still have Greg Pruitt, Thomas Lott. I mean, there's still some great.
There's so many names.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the top 20 in yards, I'm just like, good God, Oklahoma's had.
I mean, you got to put
good running backs.
I mean, if you're strictly just going off of stats, Samaje Perine's got to be at the top.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I have P. Ryan at number 3 because I mean statistically he was I think one of our best. He is our best quarterback in terms of yardage. I mean, not by much. You know, he's 4 yards more than Billy Sims. But
you've got him. I mean, he beat Billy Sims by 3 yards. So
yeah, but Sims. He had to do it on a lot more attempts, almost 100 more attempts.
Yeah. And, Billy's got more. I mean, Steve Owens has the touchdowns, 57.
Steve Owens also has the 100-yard games at 23.
Yep. But you've got P. Ryan, Sims, Joe Washington, Adrian Peterson. I would not have Adrian Peterson number 1. So
Really? Because if Adrian Peterson,
he's at that freshman record. He was a true freshman out there putting up 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah, I would too if I had that offensive line.
Yeah, you got to remember, like Peterson did the blue shirt in the spring before it was cool. In the fall camp. Yep. It was you don't even breathe on Adrian
DeMarco
Peterson.
Actually had the red jersey with the blue numbers in spring too. I remember that.
Now,
Adrian Peterson rushed for 1,900 yards as a freshman.
That man could have been a 6,000 or 7,000 yard rusher if he would have stayed at Oklahoma for 4
If
years.
he didn't get hurt,
Well,
if he didn't have those
didn't get
injuries
hurt.
because he
broke
was
his
carrying the
collarbone.
team when Sam got hurt.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine in 08 a team with DeMarco Murray and Adrian Peterson and Sam Bradford? Oh my gosh, that would have been incredible.
Yeah.
I try to imagine some of these teams sometimes that are just like, what was Adrian
Hey.
Peterson doing?
Another guy to not overlook, but certainly not in the top, probably in the top 10, but a guy who had 3 over 1,000-yard seasons, Kennedy Brooks, ended up with a pretty nice career at OU. Not saying that he's top 10, he's right there on the cusp, but another guy who gets often overlooked now. I mean, obviously fresh out of his career, but yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know which one of you said Joe Mixon, and Joe Mixon was good 2 years, 2,000 yards total. Talent wise, like I think he could have. I don't know. Like I just don't see him being any better than the top 5 out there. I mean, because you even talked
he's
about
certainly not top 10.
You got Steve Owens, Quentin Griffin. I mean, DeMarco Murray. I mean, he was so serviceable.
He has the touchdown record overall, all purpose. So.
Yeah, I mean, DeMarco Murray was just, really, and like I said, P. Ryan was, I think, just incredible. I loved watching P. Ryan.